Allô, Nissan? Hey, grosse tempête, hein?
Hey, Karine, oui, je sais, les vilains bonhommes de neige sont de retour.
Mais avec le Nissan Rogue à traction intégrale, c'est pas stressant.
Exact, il est conçu et testé pour nos hivers. Oh, Karine, il y a un bonhomme dans le Rogue.
Ah, c'est correct. J'ai allumé les sièges chauffants.
Ah, bien joué, Karine. Maîtrisez toutes les conditions. Louez le Rogue S 2026 à partir de 0,4% jusqu'à 36 mois, incluant une réduction fidélité de 0,5% pour les clients Nissan admissibles. Jusqu'au 2 mars, sur approbation de crédit, les conditions s'appliquent. Détails chez Nissan.
Who's in the box? What's in the box?
What was in the box? I've been holding it from you. Yesterday, I got at my office, on my desk, a box.
What's in the box?
And I took the box home, opened up the box, and thanks to what was in the box, I got to go on probably the most ultimate trip I will take in 2020. What was in the box? It was a VR headset, an Oculus to be exact. And the trip I took was one to the International Space Station. And the largest ever film production in space has a local connection. Let's go to Felix, Lajeunesse, CEO of Felix and Paul Studios, and they're the team behind Space Explorers, the ISS experience. Felix, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I got to tell you, man, I wasn't knowing, I knew I had to watch this film before this interview today. And sometimes you view it as homework, right? Okay, I got to get home. I got to do this. Got to make sure I watch this experience. And I have to say, I was so blown away by Space Explorers. I literally was taken off the planet. And there's this moment during Space Explorers, the ISS experience, where you have one of the astronauts involved in this, and they're saying, you have to see the planet Earth from this perspective to sort of understand how we're all in this together. And I'm looking in VR and virtual reality through a porthole, looking onto the planet Earth. And I was like, this is the most incredible thing. So first off, kudos to you for such a fantastic experience. How did this even come about, Felix? How did this project, this film experience even come about?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for the amazing comments. That's really great to get this kind of feedback. So look, we have had this dream for about 8 years since we founded the studio. We had this idea to sort of leverage the immersive power of virtual reality to transport millions of people to space and have that experience for themselves. So we approached NASA in 2016 to start a collaboration with them. We did a first project that was filmed here on Earth, which were sort of the first episodes of the Space Explorer series. And that had a good success, and that built us credibility within NASA. So we went back to them and said, hey, we want to push things to the next level, and now we want to take virtual reality cameras to space and do this 2-year production on the International Space Station. So the camera was sent late 2018, and production began on January 2019.
Who was running the cameras? I mean, I see such great astronauts among them. David St. Jacques is in the ISS experience, talking to the camera. But who was doing the cinematography for this?
Yeah, so it's an unusual film experience, right? Because as a director, as a production team, you stay on Earth and the astronauts are in space. And so everything needs to be coordinated from a distance. So the way that would work is that we would send a brief to the astronauts and basically telling them, hey, for that specific scene, we want the camera to be positioned there. We want the lighting to be adjusted this way. But then the astronaut would have to do it all on their end, sort of take the brief and really implement it, integrate it. And so they would become the de facto directors of photography, cameramen, soundmen on space station, of course, with the support of our teams on the ground. But still, they were the ones to actually do everything in space because we weren't there.
And they did a absolutely incredible job, Felix. When I had that headset on, and you have the headphones on as well, so you've got this immersive audio experience. And as you're turning your head and you're looking around the space station, and the astronauts are walking around you, or they're eating a meal right in front of you, you're like, oh my God, I'm on the space station. Totally works really well. Tell me a bit about your studios, Felix and Paul Studios. Is this all you do? Is the virtual reality experience what you focus on?
Yeah, so we've been creating immersive experiences at Felix and Paul Studios for about 8 years, mainly focusing on what we call cinematic virtual reality. So that means that it's not a game that you play in virtual reality. It's a film that is fully immersive. And those films we've shot a number of them on Earth. We've done 30 productions before we actually flown cameras to space, including projects with President Obama, Eminem, LeBron James. And so everything was cinematic, meaning that we always use cameras that film in 3D at 360 degrees to give you this full sense of immersion.
We're with Felix Lajeunesse, CEO of Felix and Paul Studios. Felix, I got a box delivered to my office, so I got to watch it. It was easy for me. But how do our listeners take part in this? How do our listeners go on? We're all stuck at home. It's a pandemic. How do our listeners go on this ultimate trip, as I put it, to the International Space Station?
So I will say the best experience you can have is to get a pair of Oculus glasses or an Oculus VR headset. That's about $300, I believe, here in Canada. And once you get one of those, you can get it shipped to your home. You can access the content as well as many other content. If you don't want to buy an Oculus headset, you can wait a couple of weeks, and the project's going to get released in dome format for the planetariums all across Canada, including the Montreal Planetarium. So we're waiting for an official date for the launch because of the pandemic, but it's supposed to be at the end of 2020. And in dome format, you can actually lie down on a beanbag, and it's absolutely stunning to experience that as a full dome experience. So that would be the other option audiences will have in the short term to watch this. And
how's the reaction been from NASA with the finished product?
Oh, man, they love it. The reactions we've got was amazing. On one hand, the NASA operatives who are not astronauts, but people who've been working at NASA for years, they are very emotional about this because it's the first time that they actually go to space, that they actually experience space. And space is the environment that they're thinking about all the time, but they never get to go there. And so it was like we've got some tremendously emotional reactions from them, and, of course, the astronauts. Astronauts, so far, the reactions we've got were extremely strong, a lot of them telling us that it felt they were just brought back to space with all of the emotions of traveling back to that place that changed their life. And so, reactions are through the roof so far.
The 360-degree 3D virtual reality experience is called Space Explorers, the ISS experience. You can watch it on an Oculus, or hopefully when we can all gather and get together as well. And Felix Lajeunesse, just an incredible project. I had so much fun watching it. And after I was done with the ISS one, I watched the rest that were loaded on the Oculus as well, the previous ones with NASA, and they were also incredible. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
That's Felix Lajeunesse, CEO of Felix and Paul Studios.